26-year-old Chavaras Thompson was arrested Wednesday and charged with murdering 28-year-old Wendy Duan.
Authorities have released additional information stating that Chavaras Thompson was invited by Wendy Duan for a get-together with her friends at her home. And it appears things were going well until shortly thereafter, they were not.
9:50 p.m. last Saturday, investigators say the two were hanging out with Duan's friends at her home on Oxford Mills Lane in Sugarland when they started arguing.
It had started inside the house. It kind of spilled into the backyard of the house. At that point, gunfire erupted, and our witnesses had actually left the house at that point for their own safety. She was shot multiple times, over 10 times, so very brutal, very callous murder.
Wendy Duan would not have known it, but Chavaras Thompson, already previously in 2022, was fighting a charge for putting hands on his then girlfriend. So what's being court documents show that on or around May 1st of 2022, he was arrested for putting hands on, again, his then girlfriend in their home. And while he was out on bond, he could not own, possess, or obtain a firearm or ammunition. He also had to be on GPS, or these were actually the requests of the prosecutor, GPS, and of course he had to stay away from the victim, his ex-girlfriend now. And so it's ironic because looking through his court filings or prior criminal history, the only other activity he's ever had was back in 2018. He was arrested for theft charges at a Macy's. So it appears that he really wasn't a quote-unquote violent offender. So it's pretty ironic that he escalated so quickly to now go from, a theft charge to putting hands on his girlfriend last year, and then now to taking the life of somebody he's only known since about approximately January 1st of this year. So it's a pretty much, it escalated very quickly, so I'm not sure if other people just never pressed charges or he's suffering from some type of mental illness, even though that is being used as a crutch with some people nowadays. It is just very ironic that he escalated. Now, going to court January 23rd on this particular charge, he has to be seen or there'll be an arrest warrant for that particular case. So it'll be interesting to see if they will either merge the two cases, or the charge that he has now for Wendy Duan, will they use this particular case to show that he has a propensity for violence, and that not only should he have a first degree charge, but the sentence should be up to and including possibly taking up his life. So it'll be interesting to see how this particular case plays into this newest case. First and foremost, it is a wonderful update to know that the man that took Wendy Duan's life has now been arrested by the Louisiana Violent Task Force, and he'll be extradited back to Houston, Texas, to stand trial for the charge of taking her life. Now, what I want to also get into is, I understand this is the internet, and a lot of people like to sensationalize, and a lot of people like to give their opinions, as I am about to. But what I've been hearing from some channels, and I'm going to put one, I'm going to play one shortly. It seems to be blaming Wendy for what happened to her, in essence. And I understand that everything, because that's how I look at it, every crime that we see, we should learn from something, because our brothers and sisters that have lost their lives, we should try to learn something to protect ourselves in some way, shape, or form, or to at least expand our discernment. Because a lot of times, most of us have grown up being empaths, everybody's good, whatever. But in some of these cases, people are almost making it seem like she's some Jezebel that was just so, out of her element, not smart, and that's what led up to it pretty much, her passing. And I'm going to say, they're not all the way incorrect, but I don't like how they're presenting it. So let me play it first, and then we'll come back to this.
Right. Do not be like Wendy. Ladies, do not be like Wendy. She brought an enemy into her home, probably into her bed, and he ended up killing her, allegedly, being desperate. Like I said, you could be married for years, donkey years, and not know that person you're sleeping next to.
So as you heard, and this is just one example, and of course this is no hate to the particular creator. I just want to point out just how people view the same scenario and take it to a whole nother level. And for me, even though I understand where this particular creator is coming from, I'm side-eyeing it, because even at the end they stated you can be with somebody for 30 plus years and not know who you're sleeping with. So using that particular logic, regardless of how long she had known him, and again, we know that they did meet on this particular app and they saw each other around 1st of January. We don't know the length of time prior, but regardless of the fact, just by stating that you can know somebody for 30 years and not really know them, how are you going to state that what she did was incorrect? Instead of stating that, she brought the enemy, she did this to herself. Honestly, she probably thought by having him over at a friend's house, at her house with other people, she was safe. He brought out the weapon with other people there. As you heard in the prior clip with the police officer speaking, her friends ran out when they heard the argument escalating, and he pulled out his weapon. So she should not have had him at her home. Yes, it was only a week, and she really should not have been calling him a boyfriend. Okay, we can call that. We can say that was incorrect. That was very elementary. That was very high school. Whatever you want to call it. All right, yes. But at the end of the day, I would not call that being desperate. I call it somebody who was excited that they found somebody. He probably put out a lot of game. Probably hyped her up, gaslit her, and was just telling how amazing she was, because she was an amazing person. She was a teacher, she was an educator, and she loved what she did, and the parents and the kids appreciated her. So can we find fault in what she did? I think we can find fault in how a lot of us probably get in some of our relationships. But would I say that she's desperate? No. Again, we don't know the dynamics of it, but let's just say they only met each other a week prior to meeting each other off the app, and they only talked for like a couple days. January 1st, they said, hey, I really like you. You want to be exclusive, which sounds really improbable, but let's just go with it. That's what it was. And then she invited him over for a get together with her friends. It's not like she invited them over to, have her, be digged down or whatever. Even if it was, they're both adults. I'm just trying to, we're getting advice from people who were part of the tip drill era, where y'all went to a party and y'all got it in with everybody and everybody. So I feel that we're pointing fingers without just stating this is an unfortunate case and how can we grow from it. And I would say that, yes, he probably should not have had her address that soon in the relationship. Yes, they probably should not have called each other boyfriend and girlfriend, being that exclusive that soon without knowing, probably first and last name on her part. I don't know what his particular profile said. I don't know if he gave her an alias. I don't know. Because if you find somebody with their middle name, last name, she probably didn't see anything without knowing that his legal name was Chavas. And so I'm just saying to say that don't be like her, don't be desperate. I think the better way to have this discussion is to say, if you're going to find anybody offline or online, let's refrain from giving people our physical address just because of the times that we're in. Yes, back in the day, a man used to ask for your address so that he can pick you up nicely, knock on your door to introduce himself to whoever is at the household, pick you up, drop you off, take you to a nice restaurant. Yes, those were the times. Yes, those were the days. Not during my time, but yes, those were the days. But now we're in times where, we got to be a little more, we got to think more with different safety measures just because of the days that we're in. And a lot of people are not emotionally stable. Women and men and children, but women and men are not emotionally stable. So I would not say don't be desperate like her. You can find love, but nowadays, just please, this doesn't mean if you're finding somebody online or offline. Just please, just take precautions. If you can look this person up to see, see if they, if you're going to go on a date, preferably not from your home, but, ask them for their legal name. If you're going to go on a date, go to a public area, ask for their driver's license. You ask for their driver's license. Of course, don't make it all creepy, just so you know that they're a real person. Their legal name is John Smith and their real age is 26. I don't know. And then when you get that person's particular driver's license and their name, either text it to your friend saying, hey, I'm with this particular person, this is their name. If he's willing to, I know I've known some people who've taken photos of the particular person's driver's license, say this is their physical address, depending on how comfortable they are. I know we are in the age of identity theft, so whatever the discussion is at that time. I know for me, in previous dating that I used to have, there was a gentleman I was dating. He showed me not only his driver's license, so I know that he not only gave me a real name, not what people call him on the streets, but his real actual name, where his actual address is. He also showed me his Facebook, the ins and outs, his DMs. So he wanted to know that I'm not perpetrating who I am. This is really who I am. It depends on the dynamic of the relationship at the beginning and the level of trust you guys are trying to build. And so then build up from there, see how their temperament is, and then once you feel safe, and you will feel it inside. And if you don't, hopefully it does not escalate to your life being taken. I don't want you guys to be fearful of actually finding love, but just to sum it up, I don't ever want people to feel or hear the words, don't be desperate, don't be like Wendy, because I feel like that's incorrect. I feel like that is unfair. But I would say, don't be like Wendy in regards to, please don't lose your life for love, but please be smart in how you engage with other people. Because like that lady said in her video, you can know somebody for 30 years and really not even know them. And so at the end of the day, you have heard of people who've been together for 20, 30 years, married, they think they know, and then after that they find they have a whole different relationship, a whole love life, a whole myriad of children everywhere. It happens. But we just don't want it to happen where your life is lost. So love accordingly, but please don't look at Wendy as somebody who was dumb. Look at Wendy as somebody what she is. A victim of a man who was emotionally unstable. Nothing more, nothing less. He is to blame. She is not desperate. She's a woman who thought she was doing something right by inviting this man to meet her friends at her home with other people around, and he lost his dang old mind and pulled out a weapon on her. Enough said. So yes, I would have to say that we should be like Wendy. We should find love. But I would also say, let's use her story to increase our discernment on how we, engage in relationships, especially new relationships. Maybe we need to do additional vetting. As I stated, maybe looking at someone's driver's license, Googling their name, doing as much as you can to see if the person who you are meeting is emotionally stable. And that might take time, and that could take years, because there's many people you've seen, whether it's on your own personal life or on social media. They have been together, married for years, going on trips, lovey-dovey, and then there's somebody who you find out that there's something that triggers them, and they lash out and maybe take someone's life. So I'm not going to judge Wendy for what she did, because she probably thought it was a good idea to do it in that setting to meet this man. So use this as a tell that, yes, we all want love, but maybe we need to just do additional vetting to protect ourselves. But let's also not sit here and blame Wendy for her life being taken by a man. She's not desperate. She's a woman who looked for love and got it in the wrong place with the wrong man.